Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina and I make videos about living in this tiny house on wheels and living a more intentional life. And on Wednesdays I often do a recipe video. So today I'm going to show you a side dish that my mom made for every special occasion. It's creamed carrots. I don't think the recipe is traditionally Portuguese, but it's just something she always made, and she always made it with carrots. It's the kind of recipe that would work with other vegetables. I think that cauliflower would work really good in this recipe. You could use peas, something like that. I've only ever made it with carrots, and it's super easy. And with Christmas coming, if you're looking for something to put on the table as a side that's maybe different than what you normally make. So let me show you the ingredients. These ingredients are super simple. We need some white flour, a little bit of minced garlic or a couple of garlic cloves, some cream or non-dairy milk. I'm using this oat for cooking because it's nice and thick. Salt, pepper, a dash of nutmeg, some breadcrumbs, and whatever cheese you have on hand, whatever cheddar like cheese you have on hand. And then about, I'd say, a pound of carrots, or as many as you want. And then 1 onion. We also want some olive oil and some butter, margarine for cooking. This is not really the kind of recipe that you can make oil-free. So the first thing we're going to do is peel our carrots and cut them up and get them started to cook. We want to cook them a little bit, not all the way through, not all the way to soft, because we are going to put this in the oven. Once you have your carrots peeled, then go ahead and dice them up into chunks that are fairly uniform in size. I like to angle mine, so basically about that size. Just eyeball it, but you want your pieces to be roughly the same size so that they cook evenly. In the meantime, get your water boiling. Get your pot of water boiling. Now let's cut these up. And let them boil for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. Just test them. You want them to be starting to get tender, but not soft. So however long that takes. Next, we're going to dice up our onion. We're going to saute these onions nice and slowly until they are super sweet and caramelized. The finer you dice them, the faster that'll happen. Woof! Strong. Onto a low heat. Add a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of margarine or butter. I'd say I have a tablespoon or 2 of each. All right, so now that the butter is melting and starting to sizzle into the oil, let's add the onion in there. The oil keeps the butter from burning. I'm going to let that saute nice and slowly on low until the onions are nice and soft and sweet. All right, we're back, and we are going to do our next steps here. My oven runs really hot, so I'm going to move this over to the smaller burner. Everything over. My carrots are done to the desired softness. Again, they should have some bite, like some texture to them. You don't want them soft and mushy. And now I'm going to add a teaspoon of minced garlic. And so the next step is to add 2 tablespoons of flour. And I'm going to add this all in and I'm going to stir it around. It's going to form a paste, but what we're basically doing is cooking off the floury taste. It's hard to describe, but this is why you need the fat, the oil, and the butter in this recipe to do this part. I've already measured out 1 cup of my cream. Now, I might need more depending on how thick this gets. We're going to start with that. You'll notice I haven't added salt and pepper yet. I'm going to do that after I get the sauce mixed together. So now I'm going to add the cream, and I'm going to use a whisk here. Just add it in a little bit at a time. It'll thicken up, get into, turn into a paste. You add a little bit more. This is basically how you make cheese sauce from scratch as well. Once you have all of the cream mixed in, switch to a spatula and then just keep stirring it. You don't want this to burn to the bottom, but you do want it to thicken up nicely. This is when I taste it and add my salt and pepper. Because right now it's just pretty bland. So you need a lot of salt and pepper or to taste. Pepper. And this is my mom's secret ingredient, about 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg goes really well with carrots. Now, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I should have said that a little earlier. Turn the heat off and mix in my carrots. If you want, you can add cheese into the sauce. I don't. That's not how my mom made it. She always put a little bit of cheese mixed with breadcrumbs over top. So let's put the carrots into the casserole dish. I really don't ever have that turned properly for you guys, do I? And spread them out. All right, so the topping is about 1/2 cup of shredded cheese and about the same amount of seasoned breadcrumbs. Then just mix this up with your hands and sprinkle it over top of the casserole. This will give the topping a nice little crunch. Now we're going to bake this uncovered for about 30 minutes in a 350 degree oven. That will finish cooking the carrots and melt the cheese and give everything a nice little crispy crust. Can you guys hear that? So the cheese is melted. There's a nice little crisp crust on top. I'm gonna let this cool so I don't burn myself, and then we'll come back and taste it. Okay, so I've let this cool a little bit. Not a lot, I'll admit. I'm hungry. Do you know what else is really good as toppings on this? Is those crispy fried onions. If you have those available, they make a fantastic topping for this as well. Sometimes, if I can find those, sometimes I'll even mix them in to the casserole as well. But so let's try this. It's such a simple dish. Basically, what you're making is a bechamel sauce. You can add cheese to the sauce if you want, but that's not how my mom made it. It's a really simple but delicious recipe for a side. The carrots are nice and sweet. So are the onions. A little bit of nutmeg in there goes really well with the onions. If I was using cauliflower for this recipe, I probably wouldn't put the nutmeg in. Let me know if you make something similar, if you grew up with something similar for your family gathering dinners. And if you do make it and you use a different vegetable, I'd be really curious to know what you did and how it turned out. So I hope you guys give this a try. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, eat good food and be kind, because the world needs more kindness. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.